So flee youthful passions and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart. That is 2 Timothy 2, verse 22, and this is Born Again to Live.
Good Friday, guys. Good Friday morning or afternoon, whatever. But I always get caught saying morning because most of our people, I think, listen first thing in the morning. But you can listen anytime you want.
And not even on a Friday. I mean, just we don't care, whenever.
But thank you for tuning in and listening. And if you listened yesterday, yes, that's the same scripture we ended with because we're going to start with hope.
Yes, there is hope in this darkened world, for sure.
Recap from yesterday. Porn bad. Got it.
The silent killer. It is the silent killer. Yes. And as we were saying before, it affects everybody. It doesn't just affect the people that have the addiction, that have the anxiety. It spreads into the family, into the school, everywhere you go. Like if we all know somebody that's affected by it and just that pain that they carry around. And like, what Michael was talking about, like it just stole his joy.
Yeah.
And, man.
And when our off-air kind of talk, we talked about how it could affect fathers to their daughters and how, it's all good. It could be a daddy's girl up until age of maturity. And then when they start developing body parts that resemble this stuff, the parents just drop that kid and like stop loving that kid because they're afraid of what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be part of your life or part of what you've seen in life with your siblings or whatever, but it happens. And people don't realize why. Maybe this is your answer. Maybe there's somebody out there that's like, my father stopped loving me at the age of 13. Well, what happened at 13?
Yeah.
And it's not that they stopped loving you. They stopped knowing how to love you.
Well, and they just distance themselves for sure. Because
nothing does happen. And this could be, I'm not blaming, and there's some people with just a twisted mind, but this could be the problem with a lot of people out there and why they do sexually assault people or whatever. And we're not trying to go negative today. We're going to get the positive.
Are we, Eric? Okay.
Get the positive, but I got to continue with yesterday's thoughts.
Yeah.
This affects a whole lot of stuff.
It sure does.
I mean, there's stats where like preachers and stuff suffer with porn addictions more than most any other place because of isolation and the calling they have that they just are looked at differently and all this other stuff. So it's kind of hard sometimes, and they just fall into this trap that is Satan's web of lies that this is the only way they can see love and affection, but it's not. And so just tapping on to where we were at yesterday a bit with some final thoughts on that. But let's go with some.
Is there hope, Eric? What is
hope and joy?
Where is the hope?
The hope is that you can beat it. I'm living proof.
You, Eric, is you the word?
Well, we in God.
There you go.
Yes. But you don't have to suffer forever.
Right.
And if you are suffering, reach out, find somebody and talk to them and get help and admit the problem. And that might be what this last 2 episodes do, is they open your eyes to a problem.
Yes, absolutely. I know, like we were talking about recovery groups last time, and there isn't as much for pornography, but there are some recovery groups out there. And I do know of Every Man's Battle. That's one that I think is fairly prevalent. And then sometimes, again, churches that offer these kind of recovery groups, they have to market them very, they can't just call them porn addiction, because no one's going to show up for that, but they will call it something different. But yeah, I think Every Man's Battle, that is a great name for recovery and a support group. So
if you're going through it and you can't find something like that in your area, go to a actual one of these I'm trying to think, addiction recovery places.
Yeah.
And just tell them what you're suffering with. They're going to help you.
Yeah.
Because it's the same way to break the other habits that people go through that you can break this one. So
yeah. Yes.
First step's going to be, always, everything is realizing it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we've talked about it. Now, let's go with the scripture Amy opened with and we ended yesterday.
Yes, 2 Timothy.
2 Timothy 2:22, lots of 2.
Yeah. So flee youthful passions and pursue. So this is step 2, pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart.
Yeah. Righteousness, you can almost replace that with holiness.
Mm-hmm.
Pursue holiness. That's our first step. We got to want to allow God to change us into what he wants us to be, which is not addicted to this stuff and not viewing it, not looking at it, and being pure at heart with that.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you got to have faith in him, and you got to love yourself enough to want to do that. And that's where it says righteousness, faith, love.
Yeah. Love for yourself and love for others and love for God. Absolutely. And peace. And then, of course, the second part of this, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart. So, like, right there, that says community.
Yeah.
Like, who are you surrounding yourself with people that are going to just rubber stamp, everything you're doing? Okay, no big deal. Like, you're good the way you are. You be you, or all that stuff that we say today. Yep. You do you. No. Surround yourself with people that are going to be like, this stuff's bad for you. Yeah. Like, just nope.
If I've had like 45 failed relationships because I always end up finding a problem because, well, they weren't good here or good there or whatever. And Amy looks at me and goes, Eric, maybe you're the problem.
I do that kind of a lot anyway, don't I? Yeah, I was like, Eric.
But like I'm saying, that's a loving thing that somebody can do, is don't just say, well, no, that girl, they're crazy. Like, oh no, that one's not right for you. And then they're justifying it, but maybe at some point you got to turn around and go like, you failed so many times. Maybe we got a problem in that inside part of you. So,
yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's one of those, it's kind of hard sometimes. Again, that's where we correct in love.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a good friend or in a good community, you can do that correcting in love in this situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just that's a good way of looking at it, is we've got to have each other's back, but
Absolutely.
you gotta give it to God.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about prevention a little bit. Because I think that's one of the things that we can do most that we don't do. Again, we talked yesterday about parental controls on phones. I think that's number one, because I think that's where the biggest problem nowadays starts, is on technology.
Yeah.
Being mindful of what your kids are viewing, where your kids are viewing it, and I don't know if I've heard here once, I don't even remember where, but the parents were talking to me that at my house they don't play on technology, but so-and-so's house they do play on technology. Well, what are they looking at on that person's computer? Why don't they play on the computer at your house? Is it because you have parental controls and blah, blah, blah? But they go to a friend's house and they're always on the computers or always on something. Well, maybe we need to check what that house is doing. Maybe you need to be aware of the friends and the situations and those kind of things. It's not being nosy. It's being a parent.
Yeah. And I think, to some degree, like, okay, so we give our kids a phone with this very just untrue sense of control and safety, right? Oh, well, they're going to be safe. Everything's going to be better because they have a phone. But then I think we take the easy way. It's like, just because we know where they are at all times, we can track their phone. We can call them anytime we need to call them. I think that's where we that's where we stop. We're like, okay, we know where they are. They're safe. I've done my job as a parent. But like back in my day, Eric, before all this technology, like, my mom looked a parent in the eye. She met both. Like, she would not let me go over to someone's house without meeting these parents, without seeing where they lived, without walking in that family room and seeing what is going on in this household, And yes, like, that's when you need to have that conversation. Hey, so I don't let, my child do this, this, and this and watch these shows. What goes on over here? Because, like, if you have said, I'm not going to let my kid watch Game of Thrones, and then they go over to their friend's house and that's all they watch, like, then it defeats the purpose. So, like, you have to look those parents in the eye and say, what is permissible in this household before I let my child play with your kid?
Yeah.
And it's, again, you can't be lazy about this kind of stuff.
No, like I said, it's not nosy and it's not bossy. It's being a parent. It's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You can do it at your own house too with what you watch. A lot of families I mean, and video games, both, all those things. I mean, there's video games that allow the nudity. There's lots of movies out there that portray relationships in the wrong way. And you don't think about it as developing bad habits, but if your kid at 10, 11, 12, typically that's where it starts. I mean, somewhere between there, that's when the curiosity, the maturity, the new body things are going on, the chemical changes in their brain. And you're watching a movie as a family and there's a sex scene and the kid's like, oh, what's that? Yeah. And so then they get that device and they're like, hey, I want to find out what that is. And it could start as simple as that.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming parents, but you got to just be aware. You got to be able to maintain your household and be the leader of your household as a parent and know what's going on in your house and watching to make sure that you don't give your kids the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, gosh, it's almost like when you have a child, you're kind of signing up for double duty these days in this world of technology because, it used to be you can control what your kid sees and does and where they go. But now with everything at their fingertips, they can see and go and do just about anything right in the safety of your own home. And, it isn't just about sheltering them in this safe bubble and getting them through high school unscathed, because I think sometimes we think physical safety is all that matters. So, well, I'd rather my son just be at home where I know he's safe. If his mind, if his spirit, if his soul is dying inside, he's not safe. He's not safe. So, don't kid yourself into thinking that there's, only one way is the way to keeping your kids safe. Yeah, if he's on his video games all night with his friends, and you're like, well, at least he's not getting into trouble. You don't know that. You don't know that. So
me and my son, we play video games together. It's one of the fun things we do. And he got mad at me one time because I wouldn't let him play Fortnite. And he's like, Dad, I don't understand. We play Halo and you're there shooting all these people or aliens and stuff with me. And I'm like, yeah, but Fortnite's real people. And he's like, I don't understand. And I told him, I draw a line at when you're shooting other people. Yeah, I know it's a video game and I'm shooting aliens, but if you ever run into an alien, I mean, maybe it's okay to have your gun ready.
Right.
I don't want you thinking it's commonplace to run into somebody on the street and be able to shoot them. So, and I drew that line hardcore and I'm not going to let you do that.
Yeah.
And he told me one time that he played at a friend's house. I'm like, I told you can't play that game. And I don't want to sound mean, but in my mind, there was a line and I didn't want him to cross it. And he now understands, that's the line that Dad doesn't like.
Yeah.
And there's a godly reason for that, I believe. And yes, maybe shooting games and all together aren't fun, but we play Halo and it's fun. We have fun. We do missions and stuff. That's a different thing than, I don't know if anybody ever played Fortnite, but you literally drop into a zone and your whole goal is to kill everybody else and get the most points before you get killed.
So the people you're killing on the game are the other people that are playing with.
Yeah.
So behind that avatar, they're live people.
Yeah. And these avatars can look like real people. And I just don't think that's good to get desensitized to the point of hey, I'm just trying to kill people.
We're seeing the effects of that, aren't we, Eric? But yes, let's not go down that rabbit hole today.
That's just draw the line.
Oh, for sure.
Talk.
Yeah, drawing a hard line. It's not easy, but it's necessary.
Yep. And again, like I said, movies, TV shows, and then if you're out in public and you see things, kids are curious.
Yeah.
And that curiosity age, again, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, that's when it really gets to be curious. And if there's a kid, let's just take the metro. Amy lives down near the metro.
I do.
And I was on the metro one time late at night going to a ball game. And they used to have a divider in the back where there was 2 private seats.
Yeah.
Well, we were there and there was a man and a woman making out and feeling each other up.
Oh,
and you could see the reflection in the mirror. They didn't care. But if a teenager or a young kid sees that, they're going to be like, hey, what's that?
Yeah.
What are they doing? And you got to be aware and ask your kids questions. Talk to your kids.
Yeah.
I know it's uncomfortable sometimes to say, hey, do you know about this stuff? Are you aware of this? Do you know the problem with this? Mm-hmm. And Michael's story, he heard his parents talking about porn, and not to blame them, but he heard them talking about it, so then he went and figured it out. Well, if we have that open dialogue sometimes and say, hey, this is what this is, and this is really bad. I know the world's going to tell you it's not. Please stay away from it. And talk to them. Don't be afraid to have these hard conversations.
Yeah. And I think too, Eric, it's that tone that you take with them. Like, I remember when my nephew was really young and he like fell down, like when he would fall down and he would sort of like look around for a reaction, right? And if the look on your face is like, oh no, as if you're like, you fell into a bottomless pit and you're going to die, like he would get so scared and start crying because in his mind, he's like, oh, this is bad. What I did was bad. But instead when he'd fall, we just sort of stare at him and wait to see if he was actually hurt. And then if not, we would just sort of smile, pick him up. You're good, buddy. And so like they pick up this cue very early in life, what is good and what is not okay. And so I think if your child brings up this question or they have this curiosity, I think it's important to not sort of lay this like, ooh, yeah, no, we can't talk about that, because then all of a sudden they're like, oh, it's bad. I can't talk to my mom or dad about this because this topic is bad or uncomfortable. And, I always go back to like what Seth Addison was talking about in his interview. He's like, and, you and I had talked about this in our public service announcements to parents. And Eric, you were the one that kind of hit the nail on the head. A lot of times the reason why kids don't go to their parents is because parents have authority. So like if you say, yeah, I did this bad thing, well, parents like, well, I'm going to take away your phone, or I'm not going to let you drive your car or whatever. Whereas a friend or a mentor would just be like, yeah, no, that's bad. I want you to make better choices next time. And so they know it's bad. They feel like they can confess it to those of us that don't have the authority to punish. And, what Seth Addison said is, I learned it was easier to lie than to tell the truth, because telling the truth came with these punishments. And so, in order to just open up that dialogue with your kids, you have to be willing to talk about these tough subjects without making them feel like they're a bad kid for bringing it up in the first place, right? Be like, yeah, no, I'm glad you asked me this, son. I'm glad you asked me this, sweetheart. Yeah, let's talk about this. And I don't know, maybe this is something you need to practice with your friends or something, but so that you can just manage your reaction. But like, I think to any parent, you need to know it's coming. Like you said, Eric, that 10, 11, 12, be ready to talk about it.
And this is why we have community. If you're not in a good community of life support type groups, like I love the idea of the Spoken Hub model for church, where me, Amy, and 6 or 7 other people are in a group of life. We live life together. And we get together, and let's say my kid's having this problem, and I'm like, hey, who else went through this? Like, you got older kids. Did you have this problem? Yeah. How did you do this? How did you handle this? How can we godly handle this? That's what we got to do as a community.
Yeah.
That's what we got to dig into. That's how you prevent this. Hey, I saw my kid go through this, and I helped him by doing this, or I didn't help him by doing this. I know April, she won't mind. She has really strict parent controls on her kids' phones. And she told me one time that a kid texted her kid the wrong word, and like it popped up on her phone instantly. And she's like, hey, what's that? And her kid's like, wasn't me. I promise, Mom. Like, I told him not to do that again.
Yeah.
It was like instant. But that kid knows, hey, if I'm going to do this, Mom's going to see it.
Yeah.
And that may be restrictive and whatever, and your kid may have to deal with that later in life. But at the same time, they're going to know you love them enough to care to put that restriction.
Yeah.
So again, if somebody's failed in life, like if my kid goes down the path of drugs, and I'm sitting there and I'm saying, well, just bad luck on my part. And I don't like, what can I do to prevent somebody else's kid from going through this? And that's where that life group and community and all that stuff goes.
Oh, for sure.
Because then you just go back and be like, all right, I really want to prevent your kid from having this problem, and here's where I failed.
Yeah.
And you have to be honest and open enough to realize where you messed up sometimes.
Yes.
And I know we're all perfect. We don't do wrong. So never mind that last comment.
Well, and okay, I think a big part of this, the whole prevention equation to this, is we need to remove that judgment as a parent, as a mentor, as a church, as a youth organization like Big Blue, because I think it is a brokenness and it is a struggle, just like everything else. But for some reason, the church has decided this is bad. This is ugly. This is gross. You're a sick person. You're a bad person because this is your sin.
Yep.
It's okay if you're an alcoholic, we'll pray for you and we'll get you help. And if you're struggling with this brokenness or a divorce, or there's all these other things and sins that the church deals with graciously, but for some reason pornography is just this one, like, nope, we don't want it. Just like we'll take you as as an alcoholic and try to help you, but we don't want the hard drugs. We don't want the hard porn. We don't want the hard stuff. And like, that is not the message of Jesus. So we've got to approach this better.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, I kind of go back to Seth. Isn't the church full of perfect people? No. Oh, like I said, guys, it's a group effort, and it doesn't start with just a little tiny podcast out of West Virginia or wherever to revolutionize getting rid of porn.
Yeah.
But what it does start is a conversation.
Yes.
And that's what we're all about. And I think that this Philippians scripture that Amy's about to read will kind of we'll tail off with that and some stacking stone.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, this is a great one to kind of start your weekend with it. And I have kept this one written down, like, in my pocket on just some really rough days for me, because we all know when you struggle with something, you kind of just can't let it go. You cannot let it go. So this one is Philippians 4, verse 8. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is anything excellent, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things.
And there's only, I can only think of one thing: God.
Yeah.
Like, if you are struggling and you're having this problem, or your kids are having this problem, switch their focus.
Yeah.
Switch their focus to what's true, what's honorable, and all those things.
Yeah.
And it's God. God is worthy to be praised. He is the hope that we have. And without a doubt, that's the way we can defeat this silent killer.
Yeah. Keep your mind on things above, not on things below. That's another way to say that. So,
and God's making all things new.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what born again is, making it anew. And if you dealt with this or have been through this, there is resurrection. There's a new life.
Absolutely.
So, don't give up. Yeah.
There are so many lives that we know, Eric, that are proof that it doesn't end there for you at all. So if you're struggling with it, listeners, like, our hearts go out to you. We'll pray for you. And this is just something that's always going to be on that battlefield.
Yep. So, all right. Well, let's end with some really good stacking stones.
Okay.
You want to go first, or you want me to?
I want you to go first, Eric.
All right. So the bacon-fueled revelation.
Oh, wait, yeah. We've waited for this for so long. So maybe mine's not going to be as good. I don't know. It's not a competition.
You know how you do those teasers like the movies do? Like, they'll put out a little bitty screen, and then later they'll put out a little bit bigger piece of that clip.
Yeah.
That's what I've done all along.
Here we go. All
right. So it's called The Fallout Shelter. And I'm a week away at this point from my initial meeting with the young adults who are brave enough to come and join this, I would call it, revolutionary group. And we're calling it the Fallout Shelter, and I'm after young adults, high school graduates to college graduates, basically. So 18 to 25 is what God told me. It's kind of a life group. And I talk about this spoken hub model, and at some point maybe we need to talk about what that is, because I use that phrase a lot. But it's a life group. And I want these kids to, I'm not their age. I'm 41 at this point, but I've gained enough experience in life that I think I can help them through that period of life where you're transitioning, and it's a weird transition from kid to adulthood, but you're still in school, or you're still learning how to live, and your brain's not even fully developed till you're 25.
Yeah.
So I think that's why God gave it to me, and I don't know what he's going to do with it, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
And so listeners, just pray that the Fallout Shelter is what God wants it to be. Not what Eric wants it to be, but what God wants it to be. And he showed it to me in a bacon frying section and gave me everything all at once, and it was beautiful and loved it. And I don't know, there's some young adults they're signed up, that are coming out, and they're gonna receive something.
Yeah.
And I'm still working out all the details with God on what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. But guess what? We're going to do it because I'm obedient to him. So I'm stacking the stone for this new ministry.
All right. Well, yeah, I want to talk. I think we just need to dedicate an episode to talking about the ministry, honestly, now that you have finally told us about it, because I have so many thoughts on that age group as well. But that's not what we're doing right now. We are stacking stones. So real quick, guys, on Sunday, it is Bring a Friend to Church Day. And this is like a big thing. They've been talking about it like on K-Love. And, you know, I've gotten a few text messages I've seen on social media. It is Bring a Friend to Church Day. And so K-Love was sharing on the radio the other day the stat that says 80% of Americans, if asked, would go to church, you know, if asked by a friend, would go to church. But sadly, only 5% are ever asked. So we need to do a better job of asking people to go to church with us, guys. So that's my little PSA announcement.
Nice.
But the stone I want to stack, Eric, is just, it's just been really cool seeing some of these kids that it felt like we lost them for a time, you know, and they're coming back into the fold of Big Blue, of church community. Some of them have since graduated, but they're coming back to this family of faith. And I love that, Eric, because yeah, maybe they're not quite in their born again life, but like, you know, like, and we get frustrated when it's just like, come on, man, it's been a few years, but like God's timing is perfect. And I'm just like, you know what? The fact that they still keep coming back, the fact that giving us a hug, saying hello to us, popping in Big Blue on a Saturday night just to say hi, we haven't lost them. Like those sheep are still right there. And in God's timing, I firmly believe that he is going to bring them into their born again life. And so I'm just grateful for those kids that have just returned to the flock. That's my stone I want to stack.
That's a good one.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Have a great weekend. Promise Monday will be more cheerful.
Will it?
Yeah,
no, Monday's going to be great. I can't wait to talk to you guys again on Monday.
All right, see ya.
Bye.